Do you get up several times a night to go to the bathroom? Do you wear pads or diapers due to bladder leaks? Attain by InControl Medical will stop the leaks and give you back control. Attain is the only FDA-cleared at-home device for the treatment of stress, urge, and mixed urinary incontinence, as well as fecal incontinence. For more information, visit InControlMedical.com.
What's really exciting to me about talking to Jenna Ryan of Uqora is in this space, we're always looking for great solutions, and we're always looking for solutions that turn into great businesses. So for Uqora to have launched their first products in 2017 and already be acquired in 2021 by a large global company is really exciting. And I think it just demonstrates how much momentum there is in this women's health space.
I couldn't agree more, but what's even more exciting to me is all the women who are typically calling me at 2 and 3 in the morning because they have such uncomfortable urinary tract infection symptoms really have a wonderful go-to product now to really help prevent and maintain optimal urinary health. So I feel very excited about this.
Well, I'm sure you have gotten this question where a patient will say, how do I know if I have a urinary tract infection? And
the answer is,
you'll
know.
We'll hear from Jenna that one of the reasons that she was motivated to start the business is that she had 8 UTIs in 1 calendar year. What can cause them? What does that mean?
So first, just let's go back to Anatomy 101. Women are really prone to UTIs because of the proximity of the urethra, where you urinate from, and all the bacteria that are near the vagina and rectal area. So the danger of leaving a UTI untreated is that these bacteria can travel to the kidneys and really cause quite a bit of damage.
Welcome to the Business of the V. Hello, friends and colleagues. I'm Dr. Alyssa Dweck.
And I'm Rachel Braun-Sherrill. Each week, we bring you the most fascinating investors, inventors, entrepreneurs, academics, and healthcare practitioners who are making things happen in women's sexual and reproductive health.
If you are a woman, know a woman, have a business, or care about your V health and wellness, fasten your seatbelts and listen in to another informative and inspiring episode.
We are so excited to have our guest today, Jenna Ryan, CEO of Uqora, which is focusing on the urinary tract. Jenna, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, normally we want to start with the origin story and how you came up with that idea, which we certainly want to do, but you also have very exciting news to share. So we want to talk about the beginning and then get to the end, and then we'll go back to the middle. So how did you come up with the idea for Uqora, and sort of what's happened since you've been able to really deliver the benefits that you were trying to provide?
Yeah. So Uqora was born out of personal need, and unfortunately, that's not super unusual for women's health startups to be a patient before you're a founder, but that was the experience for me. In 2014, I had 8 UTIs, and I was discouraged and I felt frustrated by my options. And I really loved my healthcare practitioners, but they still could only give me kind of the advice I was already hearing, and I felt really stuck. I knew I couldn't stay in that cycle, but I didn't know that I was in such good company. UTIs are the second most common infection in the US, second only to the common cold. And I was astounded to find that out. Just knowing how many other people were struggling with the same issue was really eye-opening, because you just don't hear about UTIs that much, at least not proportionate to those statistics. So this inspired me and my now husband, Spencer, to start Uqora. And Spencer's background is in molecular biology, and my background's in direct-to-consumer marketing. And we had plenty of shared experience in UTIs at that point.
As we all sit here with our legs crossed, right?
Right. It's easy to feel that muscle memory. So yeah, that was the inspiration for us. And we got to work culling the best research coming out of universities and hospitals, all geared at proactive urinary tract health. Once we felt like we had sort of the direction we wanted to go, we partnered with some urologists and physicians to just make sure it felt like we were on the right path with what they see clinically, and ultimately launched the company in 2017.
What are you finding in terms of statistics or numbers, in what you hear from patients and physicians in terms of reduction in infections, maybe less intense infections when they do appear? How does that play out? What are patients' experiences using Uqora, so we get a little bit of a before and after?
Yeah, I mean, people feel big breakthroughs when it comes to urinary tract health with Uqora. I think kind of the best way to really get a sense for this is if you go to our website, we have over 11,000 reviews. And we just have one of those products that people feel really compelled to share their story about, because similar to me, you're on this path where it feels like you're doing the same things, but Uqora comes into the scene and people get that breakthrough moment.
50 to 60% of adult women have had at least one UTI, and your experience of having, whatever, 8 or 9 in a year is a lot, but really more than 2 in 6 months or 3 in a year is considered recurrent and more complex and definitely needs attention. So I feel for you, I really do.
Yeah, thank you.
So here we are today, hot off the presses. You have some exciting news. You launched several years ago. You had a major event in July. So tell us about that.
It was just 2 weeks ago that we announced that Uqora was acquired by Pharmavite. And you might know Pharmavite as the maker of Nature Made, as well as a handful of other brands. But Nature Made is the #1 vitamin supplement mineral brand in the US. So they have a long history. They've been around for over 50 years, and they're super committed to research and science, and have a deep shared belief in the power of preventative health, which is obviously very core to what we do at Uqora too. So, we're really excited about what this means for a new era of urinary tract health and UTI care, but also just women's health in general. Pharmavite is working on a women's health platform, and Uqora is a piece of that puzzle. So we're excited about how this means we can, potentially address other issues that are related and often tangential to UTI care and urinary tract health. But aside from that, it's just been really validating for the space to get the attention it deserves. As we talked about, there's sort of this feeling that, like UTIs don't get talked about as proportionate to how common they are. And I think this means really good things for the future of research and definitely Uqora's reach in general.
So tell us a little about your product lineup. The most exciting thing that I saw was this emergency kit, which every gynecologist knows that they get the 3 a.m. phone call. Oh my God, I thought maybe I was getting an infection and now it's hitting me like a ton of bricks. So it's good to have an emergency kit available. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we have our product line expands from UTI relief, which you're referring to as the UTI emergency kit, which includes 2 different symptom management OTC drugs, as well as a UTI test strip. We believe in being proactive, but we've all been in that moment where, like you said, Dr. Dweck, there's this kind of a late night feeling that puts you in a bind. So that's what the UTI relief kit is for. And we actually kind of internally refer to that as our reactive care line, but then we also have our proactive care line, which is 3 different supplements. And, candidly, the proactive care line is the vast majority of our business, because I think in large part because we really care about putting that message out there of like, let's get ahead, let's stay proactive. And the products are really innovative, and they take a 3-fold approach to urinary tract health. So there is the first, we call those 3 proactive care products our complete system. And there's a drink mix and 2 daily supplements. The drink mix is called Target, and you drink it to flush the urinary tract. And you drink Target every 3 days and immediately after sex, and those other activities that can be triggering.
Yeah, that's definitely a big risk factor, just for the audience edification, that in younger women, sex seems to really increase the risk of UTI or urinary tract infection. And there's a reason there is a term called honeymoon cystitis, because after all, plenty of rolling around in the hay is occurring on the honeymoon, and then the UTIs come.
We all talk about preventative medicine and wellness instead of treating illness, but often consumers are not good at proactive preventive behavior. What have you done in your messaging or in your product offering that you think has enabled people to say, this is really important to prevent?
There's a few things that we've done that help. I think we've done a lot of work around kind of messaging the fact that consistency is key and habits are important when it comes to sustainable urinary tract health. But I would credit it more with just the topic, the nature of the topic. I think for people who are struggling with urinary tract health in an ongoing fashion, it is the issue itself, but it's also the emotional and mental baggage that comes with it. It's very anxiety producing, and it leaves you feeling helpless and like you want control over the situation in a way that you haven't been able to always get. So I would say, like, it's more so the fact that we're giving someone that arsenal to be proactive and ahead of the problem and have some power back in their hands.
Don't forget, a simple UTI can turn super serious in a very short period of time. I think I read a statistic about the number of hospitalizations and healthcare visits that are devoted just to urinary tract health. And I think it's like 1 in 7, which is a lot. And I really am very admiring of the at-home test kit and the preventative measures to keep people out of the office, especially if they could self-test. Because, getting a kidney infection as a result of an untreated urinary tract infection is quite serious. So here's today's hot flash. 50 to 60% of adult women will have at least one UTI in their lifetime. Risk, of course, goes up with age and sexual activity. Consultations for UTIs represent between 1 and 6% of all medical visits. That means 7 million visits and $1.6 billion annually.
Every woman needs a strong, healthy pelvic floor. Intensity by InControl Medical is an automatic pelvic floor exerciser with a kick. Intensity tightens and tones your pelvic floor and delivers a strong, intimate response. Intensity, the one device every woman needs. For more information, visit InControlMedical.com.
So what's so interesting to me, Jenna, is there are a couple of patterns that we see often when women start women's health companies. You said at the beginning, you started as a patient and then you became an entrepreneur. The other thing that strikes me by what you're saying and what Alyssa is saying is that a woman's health is so complicated and interconnected. So we're talking about it's affected by sex. It could have long-term implications. It creates anxiety. So like so many things, treating this or preventing it is so important because the tentacles of the impact it has can be much larger.
Yeah, that is so true. Into kind of the mental, physical connection for sure. And then, also one of our products is a vaginal probiotic. And at first blush, I don't think that people think about the link between vaginal health and urinary tract health, but they're super tightly related. And, just another example of how there's so much interconnectedness when you're thinking about women's health.
Well, no question. I mean, women get UTIs like 30 times more than men do, just based on sheer anatomy, because the urethra is a little closer to where there's a whole lot of bacteria than in men, where it really has a little distance to go. The other thing is that a lot of people might mistake or really just think that it's fully interchangeable to use probiotics that are typically used for the gut and gut health and bowel symptoms versus vaginal symptoms. And I frankly think there's a little bit of a difference to really following vaginal health. And I know your product manages that.
Yeah, definitely. I think, it's really great how much awareness has been built around the gut microbiome and how it's an ecosystem that needs to be treated as such. But true that in some ways, then it creates this lag in the understanding that each part of your body has an ideal healthy microbiome that isn't the same as the gut microbiome. And it's really exciting to see more research and advancements happening there.
You know, Rachel brings up such a good point about consumer compliance. Do you find an issue with people wanting to maintain a routine of taking something on a fairly regular basis? And how do you promote that?
I think that there's a spectrum of user behavior. I think some people like love the routine and they want the routine, and it gives them the sense of control that they've been looking for. And then of course there's other people who are just always going to kind of choose their own adventure. And we've designed our 3 proactive care products to work together. And because of that, most people do buy and take all 3 together. It's over 70% of new customers buy all 3 together. But they're also really strong on their own. So, you know, we definitely give advice, we give tips on staying regular. But at the end of the day, like, we also think people will see big benefit from taking any one of the products. And so we're flexible.
So for the entrepreneurs and the investors listening, having a liquidity event or an acquisition or a large partnership like this is often the goal. Can you share how that happened in terms of how long ago you started conversations, how, you know, who reached out to who, to the extent that those kinds of details are public? Were you at a particular revenue rate when you started to become more appealing? Because we are really all about that. Women's health is big business. So every time there's an event that reinforces that, we love hearing about it and sharing it with the listeners.
So we started thinking about a buying partner when we were thinking more seriously about retail. Our business model to date has all been direct to consumer, sold exclusively through our website, Uqora.com. And the vast majority of our business is subscription. And so that's worked really well for us, and we've been able to grow a lot. But we know that we're showing up well for our consumers online, but that she's also shopping at CVS and she's also having conversations with her doctors, and we have less of a footprint there. So when we were thinking about our next stage of growth, we knew omni-channel was really important and knew we didn't have the skill set for retail. So that's what led us to this thought process of finding a partner that has a ton of retail experience and deep relationships. And so, we sort of found Pharmavite mutually, but we did hire a banker to start the process. And that was start to finish. It was maybe 7 months of working with the banker. And we loved our banker. So shout out Whipstitch Capital. And we were looking for a partner with deep retail experience, but really found a lot more than that in Pharmavite. They absolutely have those retail relationships. Retail's been, the vast majority of their business for the last 50 years. But we were really excited about their deep science background and their commitment to research. That's something we've cared a lot about at Uqora, and have been able to only make so much progress based on sort of the lean nature of the business. So for Pharmavite in particular, they have over 200 clinical studies published and over 50 science and technology resources on staff. And so that's part of why we got really excited beyond the retail relationship. Rachel, you also asked sort of about benchmarking growth at the stage we were at. We had launched in 2017 and we experienced triple-digit year-over-year growth. By the time that we were speaking with Pharmavite, we were past a 25 million gross revenue run rate at the point of close. And so, for Pharmavite, I think they were really excited about what we were doing when it comes to focusing on a very specific women's health issue and really becoming expert there. But definitely our high growth rate mattered a lot. We were also able to grow quickly with limited capital. We bootstrapped the business to start. We raised a little bit of friends and family and then raised a seed round our second year in business. So when we closed that seed round in that second year, it brought our total funding to $1.5 million. but that was the last money we had to raise. We were able to turn profitable the next year. Yeah. And continue to grow off profits.
Do you still get to take care of your baby? How involved will you be now that you are, going to be with a much bigger company?
Yeah, so we're still on board, both me and my co-founder and partner Spencer, and we have a lot of work to do. So we're here, and our team is all staying intact too. And that's really kind of the reasons I described why Pharmavite was a good fit for our customers, which is their retail experience and their science background. But I'm really excited about what this means for the Uqora team too, because we're staying on board. Pharmavite's really excited about the expertise the team brings. And I actually think we'll get to work on a lot of different women's health initiatives as time goes on. So it was a real win-win in my mind on the win for the customers and the win for our team.
Can you give us a sneak peek into what you have in the plans for, you talked about broadening your solving additional problems for women's health. Can you share some of the projects that are in the works?
Some of them are too early for me to share much details on, but I can say that Pharmavite has a brand, Equel, EQUELLE, and they are a super unique product specific for menopause symptom management. And this product has a huge footprint in Japan. And actually Pharmavite's parent company is Otsuka, which is sort of like the Pfizer of Japan. And so this product has been researched a bunch there, and they're trying to commercialize it here. And it's early days, but the product's incredible, and we're really excited about being able to help kind of get the story out.
Super interesting. And yes, I've heard of Equel, so I can't wait to hear how this story is going to continue to unfold.
I have a question about, and feel free to not answer it. I'm sure people ask you, how is it building a company with your partner and now spouse? Building a business is stressful. Raising money is stressful. Even when positive things happen, it could be stressful. How do you manage that?
I think this is a funny question, because whenever anyone finds out that I work with my partner, the reaction's really polarizing. People either say like, that's a dream, or that's my nightmare. There's like hardly any in between, but it's been a dream for us. Like, of course, there's been a lot of low moments, and Rachel, like you said, there's a lot of stressful moments. And so the times where we've both been really stressed get hard, but we have a pretty good yin yang and are usually stressed about different things. And so it's really worked out for us. And I think like getting to share all the lows, but especially getting to share all the highs has just been like so special for us. So will we do it again? Probably not. Are we glad we had this experience? Very much so.
It's so funny when you say how polarizing it is. No one's in the middle. When we would talk to women in focus groups, and we would say, or anybody, investors, the average woman, whoever she is in a committed relationship, is having sexual relations once a week. And we got two reactions. That much? That little? So it's the exact.
That's great. Well, I think that's a wonderful segue into let's go have a good rest of the day, and to really wish you such amazing congratulations, because what a whirlwind, and in such a quick period of time to see such success, and well-deserved.
This was super fun.
As a business person, starting to think about, a profitable business after $1.5 million fundraise, which means the founders and visionaries still own a lot of the company, is really exciting. So congratulations to you and your partner on that as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Don't forget, subscribe to our podcast at businessofthev.com for the latest trends and trendsetters in women's health and business.